Okay, let's look at the data that comes. One of the files that's included is this file here in the zip file. This is make DOM, and I've just copied this into public HTML. It shouldn't really be in public HTML. I'm going to move it back. So I'm going to move from public HTML slash coursework1 slash mkdom. So this is short for make DOM. This is to make the tables. So I'm going to copy them from there in the public HTML, copy them to my home space. There's no reason for the world to see this file. It might contain sensitive information. It doesn't as it happens, but it's no business of anyone else's but ours. So let's move that to our local space. It's out of public HTML now, ls make DOM, and this is an SQL file. Often these SQL files are generated by the system from backup, but my habit is to build them by hand. So make DOM is the SQL file, and this has been constructed by hand. The first couple of lines are just comments because this is to remind me of the data structure that I eventually want to produce. I need to get the row labels out. I need to produce the T map. And this is some JavaScript code that I use to generate what I need. And my habit when building these tables is to start them with drop table. So this means I can rerun the script. I rarely get it right first time. So if I start the script with drop tables, first time I run it, I'll get errors because these tables don't exist. But the second time I run it, it'll wipe out the data that I had and allow me to create these tables. And very often these come in reverse order because the tables depend on each other. You can't create booking, for example, until screen has been created. And so when you drop them in the reverse order to creating them. Let's take a look at some of them. First table screen is very simple. It's only got an ID. There's only one screen we're interested in. The Dominion call it their first class screen. So there's only one column in that table. And I immediately, having created the table, I put in two values. The next one is more complicated. This is a showing, so this is an event for which we can sell tickets. It's got a synthetic key, so this ID doesn't really mean anything, it's just a unique number, or in this case it starts with a letter. And we're going to have a different value for every screening. So if we've got 3 screenings in a day, then there'll be 3 records. And we can keep them forever. We've got WHN, when, this is the time that the showing takes place, the screen, and that's got to reference this thing here, and in our examples they're all going to be first class. Title of the movie, the image associated with the movie, the rating, whether it's an 18 or a 12A or whatever, and the runtime. This data here really ought to be normalized out, but we're not bothering with that. So, having created that table, I then insert some values, and this is just test values, so I've made up the screening to duplicate the file we're looking at, which was A4580. We've got the time it starts, you can see, we've got the name of the screen, we've got the name of the movie, we've got a pointer to an image at Wikipedia, and we've got the fact that it's an 18, and it runs for 117 terrible minutes. Right, so that's the showing. And then we've got the T-map. T-map is, it's going to be easier to show you this when I put the data in, but the T-map is the type of seat, and this is kind of database style. And our fundamental problem is that the shape of this table here is unlike the shape of the data that we want out. So this is the data I want out, but I've chosen to make my life hard by storing the data in the database in a way that suits the database rather than a way that suits the JSON script. And this whole set of tutorials really is about doing the transformation from this data structure that we've got into this data structure that we need for the Java. That's enough going through this. Let's take a look at, let's put this stuff in. Oh, so I've got to come out of VI. I made a trivial change there. And I'm going to start the database, go into the database. So tilde means my home directory, and MySQL shut is just a handy file there, so I don't have to keep typing in the password. So that's just started the database, and if I want to load in the database, I can type in /mk dom.sql, and that should load in the database. I didn't want there to be any errors, but there were. I'm going to scroll back because I heard the thing bing. Okay, that's not a problem. It's complaining that I started trying to drop tables that don't exist. So those errors, that 4 errors that came up, I don't have to worry about them. I'm nervous. I'm going to run that again. I claimed that the second time you run it, there shouldn't be any errors. And it satisfyingly didn't bing at me that time. Okay, we can look at some tables. Let's select start from UMAP, for example. Okay. I've forgotten what my tables are called, so let's say show tables. And the tables I'm interested in are booking, screen, showing, TMAP. I don't have a UMAP, perhaps I called it screen. Select start from screen. Okay, and let's select a more traditional way. Okay, no, it's not that table. Where is my team screen showing TMAP? I thought it was called UMAP. That's okay, I figured it out. There isn't a UMAP. UMAP is generated from booking. It's TMAP that I want to see. So select start from TMAP. So this is the fixed, relatively fixed. We only change this table if we actually physically move seats around in the cinema. So this is going to be relatively fixed. And the format of the table tells us that in the first class cinema in row GG, position 12 is occupied by a left armchair, and position 11 is by the right armchair that's next to it. And we can see here in row FF, we've got an armchair in position 17, and that repeats. Starting at the top here, we've got the screen, the row, the column, and TP for the type. You'll see I've savagely abbreviated my column headings, and that's partly because I don't like typing. It's also because I'm trying to avoid keywords. Type, for example, is a keyword in some versions of SQL, and so I don't want to use the word type. Similarly, row has got a special meaning in some databases, and so RW means that I'm avoiding a potential clash of keywords. Okay, so that's the data format that we've got. The data format that we want looks like this. And basically we're going to be trying to transform this data structure into this data structure. That's what we're doing in the videos. So to summarize, what I've done is download the database and install it. So I've got control of it. I can change things, so I can add bookings. I've got some bookings already. Let's have a look at the bookings. Select start from booking. I'm not sure if it's plural, not form, from. Okay, so it looks like I've got loads of bookings in there. I don't want anything like that many bookings. They've all been made by Andrew. It looks like half the cinema is booked. No, there's still plenty of space. I want there to be a bit of space. So I want some seats booked and some seats free. And yeah, that'll be fine. Okay, so that's the booking file. So that tells me which seats have been sold. Every time we sell a seat, then we add a record to this. It's got the showing, it's got the row, it's got the column, and the person who made the booking. We probably want a bit more information about our customers than just a lowercase name, but we're not fussed about that sort of thing. In the next video, we'll write some PHP to interrogate this file and try to get data out so that we can be feeding this page here with the JSON format that we're after. So that'll be in the next video. We'll start some PHP.